Yay! The Strangers Chapter 3 comes to an end. We're free at last.
Free!
Free at last.
Free at last.
Yes, I know. We were not required by law to see this movie.
No,
so for those of you
weren't.
typing, like, you weren't
You didn't
forced
have
to
to.
see it, you didn't have to watch it. We were committed, man. We are dedicated Channel A. And, you know, we've started something. We're going to damn well finish it.
Yeah. We finished it.
Strangers Chapter 1, we both hate it. Strangers Chapter 2, Kaylee hated, I thought was okay-ish. And I'll talk about that in a minute of why I thought that movie was fine. And then Chapter 3, let's discuss. All right, so Kaylee, the biggest Strangers Chapter 1 and 2 hater online.
Biggest? No way.
Pretty much.
The biggest.
Definitely one of them. Did this one win you over and completely save the franchise, fixing all of your problems with the first two movies and making them awesome?
What do you guys think? You want to take a guess? It did not fix those problems and make the franchise better for me. No.
No. Yeah. So the way this goes for me, for sure, is that I thought the first one was terrible. I thought the second one was fine. And then I thought the third one was the worst of the three. I hated this movie. Especially as kind of like a conclusion to a trilogy. This is like the most anticlimactic, like unsatisfying ending to a trilogy of films. Because let's keep in mind here that this isn't a trilogy that came about because of the popularity of previous entries, like a Scream or something where there was no plan in place and they were just trying to make it work, right?
Yeah.
Something like Saw. I think Saw is a perfect example of that. The first three films are like the original trilogy of the film, and then they kicked it off to other people, but there was not a plan in place. They never even thought they'd make a sequel to the first Saw. And if you look at what they're able to achieve throughout those first three films, and further, I love the franchise, but I'm just saying, if we look at that trilogy as a whole, they really expanded upon things. And the thing I love about the Saw franchise is that every film in the franchise makes the previous films better because of the expansion of the lore and new things that you find out, right? And that's from a franchise that had no plan in place from film one. This, on the other hand, was handed over to Rennie Harlan and crew, and they were like, we came up with so much material, we needed to make 3 films out of this. And it's like, no, the fuck you did not. You could take all 3 of these movies with what's done in them and easily do all of that in a 90-minute film. Mm-hmm. Right? There is nothing here that is like, you know, setups that are later, like, fulfilled as far as, like, the promises of the setups and whatnot. Yeah. So to me, it's just, like, everything in this film feels like, why the fuck did I need 2 other films for this conclusion? This doesn't do anything. There's nothing here of interest.
Yeah, I mean, I've been feeling like that since the second film. Like,
sure.
I feel like it's always just seemed very drawn out and kind of unnecessary to me. And I really just don't like the way that the story is handled. I think that there's a lot of very, like, sloppy things going on as far as the storytelling is concerned. We both felt that things were very underdeveloped.
Oh my God, every single thing.
And again, when you have 3 films, that shouldn't be the case. You should be able to take your time and go through all of these, you know, avenues that you're bringing up. And yeah, this one for me was probably like the kind of cringiest of them. There's a lot of stuff that I just felt was honestly just kind of embarrassing. Like, it really seemed like it was trying to go for this vibe, this kind of edgy, like, slasher movie vibe, and it was not working for me. Now, granted, I already don't like the other 2, so the third one, even though I went into it as open-minded as I could, you know, it was already going to be kind of a hard sell for me.
Yeah.
I think that if somebody, like, if people are really into the first two, I think they'll probably like this one. Probably. But it's hard to tell, because I think this one also, it did exactly what I thought it was going to do. Like, where the story was going to go, it went the exact way that I thought it was going to go. So, I don't know. I think if you already have an idea from the other two, like, the logical next step, I think you'll be able to tell what this is about. But, there's a lot. We talked about it a good amount on our drive home from the theater, and without getting into spoilers, it's kind of tough, but suffice it to say, super underdeveloped. The characters were all very bland in this one, and a lot of things just felt drawn out and unnecessary, and as you had said, nothing really paid off.
I probably went on, a 10-minute long rant about how specific characters in this movie have people they're supposed to care about die in front of them, and there's no reaction to it, and it doesn't make any fucking sense to me, and I laid out all the reasons why. Now, I could do a spoiler discussion on this, but that's just more time with this than I care to spend with it, because they didn't really give much thought to this, and I don't really want to either. I kind of already did my rant. I guess I should have recorded that. But, the first film felt like this rehash of the first that was inferior and kind of slow and meandering, and just didn't really do anything to reinvent this franchise in a way that I was like, oh, well, now that they've thrown in these elements, that expands upon things for me to want to know what is going to transpire in 2 and 3, right? Like, it was basically just a complete reimagining of the first film, almost not frame for frame by any means, but there's very little inclusion of new elements. So it felt like, okay, might as well have just made a sequel to the first one. With 2 and 3, because the first movie in this new trilogy just felt like a complete rehash of that one, and an unnecessary one at that. Then we move into the second film, and the second film was more of like the chase movie, and it was just go, 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 right? She was on the run, she was frantic, she was trying to survive, and that was where I was like, okay, like, at least there's an urgency to this. At least she's doing something that feels different. That was an homage in the opening to like Halloween 2, and it's just like these people are after her, and it's all go, right? As to where the first film takes a long time to get there, and then once you finally get there, I wasn't really engaged, I wasn't really tense, or there's no tension in this franchise pretty much at all. But the chase and her kind of coming across all these different scenarios as she's on the run was like at least somewhat interesting to me, to where I was like, okay, like, I didn't absolutely hate that. It was just, it was fine. It was okay-ish, right? And that's as bad as high as I got with it. And then I thought, hopefully, they continue on with that sense of urgency. And I know her sister's supposed to come in because she's been having this communication back and forth with her. And that's going to be a big thing throughout this. And we're going to hopefully learn more about, like, the town and why they seem to be looking the other way. And we're going to, learn more things about the killers. And that's, because there's obviously things set up with them when they talk about the Tamara game that they see as flashbacks when they're kids. And we're going to expand upon that. And then the cop, of course, played by Richard Brake, he has a big character thing in this as well. And it's like every single thing I just mentioned, from the sister to the town to the cop to the killers to our lead character, all of those things that they had open for us to find out what ended up going on, in this last entry. 0 of them paid off in any meaningful way. Nothing felt like, oh wow, after 3 films, that really felt like a journey for that, and now I understand it so much better, right? It all just kind of felt like, oh, and we're done with that. Okay, and we're done with that. And this, this character is unceremoniously just, gotten rid of, and this character doesn't do much of anything, and this thing isn't really explained all that well, and I guess we just have to go, they're evil, I guess. I don't know. Not that certain things need explanations. I am remaining vague on these things that I'm talking about, but fuck me, was I just completely underwhelmed with absolutely everything.
Yeah, I think it's ultimately like it's
and our main character, the main actress, I felt like she was on autopilot throughout this movie. Like for some reason, the last movie, I felt like she was really bringing like this, damsel in distress, fucking, but she has to overcome it and like fight back and become kind of like a badass and whatever. And I felt that. I thought she did a good job, but here she's just like stone faced almost throughout the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, I definitely have explanations for some of the things that we talked about. Again, we can't really talk about it without spoilers, but I think it's just like the order in which things happen, I guess, while still trying to be very vague. That doesn't make sense for the character reactions, like the order of events.
Yeah.
Which maybe you'll understand when you see the movie, and maybe at some point we can talk spoilers. I don't know. But I think that the franchise itself
I'll forget
is
it all by tonight.
It's such a boring franchise, like, and it makes me kind of sad because it's like, here's 3 films that honestly feel like cash grabs. They feel like, let's just keep getting people in the theater to like try and make more money off of them by being like, oh, you need to see chapter 2, you need to see chapter 3 now. But then you have something that's like the 28 years later films, which are unique, actually have vision, are actually filmed in very interesting ways, have interesting characters, even if they're not your cup of tea and they're not what you wanted. Like, there's still like a style to them, there's still a vision to them, and who knows if the 3rd film will get made. Like, we don't have a guarantee on it. And it's just, it makes me sad because these are such bland movies, and even in the slasher subgenre, which I know for a lot of people is rinse, lather, repeat, and I get that, I totally get that. But I just, like, at this point, I feel like when you make a slasher movie in 2026, 2025, whatever, like, there needs to be more style, there needs to be more kills, there needs to be more character stuff, more whatever. It's not that it has to be a totally different type of film, like, you don't need to invert the subgenre and the expectations or anything like that, but I just feel like there shouldn't be such like lazy movies like this, and so
yeah, and that's just it too. I mean, that's another element of this that we didn't really talk about as much, is that the kills are non-existent, lame as fuck, right? In addition to all of this doubt, like all of these negatives, right? So like, they're supposed to be brutal, and there's they're trying really hard to be edgy with certain things, like the words that these kids scratch into the wall.
Oh yeah, we were laughing. There's a scene at the
third
end.
grade interpretation.
Just read the walls at the end.
So stupid.
We were laughing so much.
Yeah, that's like if I told my kids when they were 5 of like, this needs to be really evil, girls. Go out there with some crayons and write on the wall.
What are the scariest
words?
Scary
words. So stupid. So yeah. I forget.
You're just saying,
there's something else I was going to talk about, but honestly, I don't really give a shit. I'm just done with this. I'm done with this movie. I'm done with this franchise. I'm glad that this trilogy is over. I was really hoping that this 3rd movie could be good, and I could be like, all right, it was like not good, okay, good. Like at least it like escalated in quality. But no,
not the case. Not for us. I do hope that people that are into this like franchise, I hope that they like this. And if you're one of the people that really likes the film, I'm really glad. And there's definitely no hate towards anybody's tastes or opinions.
Bullshit, we hate you. No?
But for us, I'm just very happy I don't have to watch any more of these movies.
I'm going to get her to watch Pray at Night because I think she'll like it.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, this actually, funny enough, mentioning, going back to what I mentioned earlier, this actually makes me like the previous films less.
Yeah.
Right? So it did the exact opposite of what I kind of hinted at in the early openings of this, is like, so now that I know this has no payoff,
all of it is just kind of a waste.
And then there's a really weird scene where both of us kind of looked at each other and we're like, was this already revealed?
Like, there's a very...
They reveal who the killer is.
It's weird because it's
and
like...
we were like,
it's
were we supposed
obvious,
to know this?
But you're like watching it being like, well, there's like potential doubt because she's so paranoid and everyone is so like, who is it? Who's gonna... Who, like, she's in that state. I don't know. That's a spoiler, maybe, but like,
no, really.
Maybe not. Maybe
I mean,
we
of course
just
we're
maybe
gonna find
it
out
was
who the
like,
killer is.
I know, but I mean, like, I guess what I'm saying, I feel like
Oh.
you can tell who the killer is. Like, it's very obvious,
Nobody
but
likes-
it felt like it was still supposed to be kind of hidden, and then it's just sort of like lacklusterly
Anybody who
revealed,
gives a shit
I
about
guess.
anybody who gives a shit about this movie is already gonna see it before we talk about it.
Yeah.
I think that people just come here who are like, I'm either, unless they give it a glowing review, I'm not going.
That's true.
Right.
It's not
And
a
then
glowing review.
Most people are going to be coming here looking for spoilers. They're going to want us to talk about this, and I apologize.
Maybe in like some live stream or something, we can just be like,
I'm telling you, I'm going to
dunk
forget
on it.
about 95% of it as we press stop here.
Okay.
I don't care about any of this. It's just so lame.
It just erases your memory when you hit
100%.
the button.
I
Alright.
put it all out here, and it's gone from my memory. So, and I want it to stay gone. Because there's no fucking point. I have no interest in ever revisiting a single film in this trilogy.
Me either.
Yeah. So that will be the last time I ever watch these movies.
Yes.
So that's that.
That's
Strangers, Chapter 3, better than Return of the King,
that. Oh my god.
better than the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
It actually makes me want to vomit. That you just said that, even as a joke.
All right, guys, that's that. Adios.
Bye.